Hello guys, this video I want to talk about the stress and anxiety of perfectionism. So a number of years ago, one of my favorite artists, hard service artists, Michael Andrew Nash, passed away, and the cause of death was prescription drugs for anxiety. Now he did not get these drugs from a doctor. As I read, he was trying to self-diagnose his anxiety. He suffered from anxiety, severe anxiety, and he tried to self-medicate using these drugs. And at one point he took too much and he died. But I want to talk about the issue of when you can make yourself your own worst enemy. When you can push yourself to such an extreme degree that you set an impossible standard for yourself, and then it causes an extreme level of stress and anxiety. So there's lots of things you can tell by a person, guys, by their artwork. So because Mike and I come from the same world of almost like obsessive compulsive sci-fi mechanical art, I can tell a lot about his mind by looking at his artwork. This is something he made. This is a very detailed kind of a police officer uniform with a vest, shoulder armor, helmet, and you don't have to be an expert psychologist to know the mind of a person who makes something like this. There is an obsessive compulsive obsession with detail. There is perfectionism here. There is a desire to make every single part perfect. And what makes this even more extreme is that this was all done in ZBrush. You would look at this, you would think this was made in a CAD program with all the precision cuts here and surfacing, but this was made in ZBrush. What Mike Nash would do is he would take something like this. This is the same design in a much earlier stage. And so he would take something like this, all kind of all over the place, right? Nothing matching, kind of being everywhere. He would sculpt with clay, and he would take that and turn it into this. You can imagine how much work is required in ZBrush out of all programs to polish it up, get every single surface clean, flat, or curved, or sharpened with a sculpting program. Now, when ZBrush started out, it was mostly for creatures, but as the years went by, it got more and more features, more brushes, and Boolean features, Boolean tools, and it enabled it to make hard surface designs much easier in ZBrush. But most of this was not made with the Boolean tools. Most of this was made with Mike Nash just manually using the sculpt brushes to polish things out. That's what's so shocking about this. This was not made with the Boolean cutaway brush. This was made with just him moving things out by hand and polishing them up. So you can tell that in order to get this level of crispness, cleanness with ZBrush, it requires many years and just a lot of time and a lot of attention to detail to get this sharpness and crispness and level of detail. So it's almost like trying to create a master painting with Microsoft Paint. Not that ZBrush is a bad program, but that you're really trying to do something very extreme with ZBrush, which is trying to almost turn into a CAD program here. So you can tell that Mike Nash really had a high level of standards for himself, and knowing what I know with my own experience and what I've heard other people say, it really can backfire on you, because he himself talks about anxiety and really high standards, pushing the bar, and it has consequences, guys. When you push the bar so far, you are sacrificing a lot of your being into this, a lot of your time, many hours, and you set a high standard in your own mind, and you set a very high standard for others. And that when you keep trying to reach a high standard and push beyond it, it really at some point, it's almost like a law of diminishing returns, where the more you put into something, the less you get out of it eventually. So when it comes to any kind of work, guys, this does not pertain just with 3D, but with anything, any profession, there is kind of a graph where if you put more time into it, you will get better results. But there comes a point where the more time you put into it, the less and less results you get. And another artist I really like is called right here Darko Markovic, nicknamed Darmar. And looking at his designs, I know that he really enjoys designs. I know that you cannot make a frog robot without enjoying what you do, you know? And he's worked on big studios, he's worked on TV shows, he's worked on The Matrix, he's worked on the Masters of the Universe movie that came out. And so, you know, he gets work. People like his designs. But in one of his artworks here, he takes you through his design thinking, and it tells you how he designs this this sci-fi vehicle or this tank, for example. And so I took a look at this and I read through it, and here on page 4 he talks about these things. Let me just read you what he says. It will take much longer. At this stage, it's crucial to stay calm and take your time. Not every project gets the chance to push this far. Budget constraints usually stop things earlier. Once you get here, everything slows down dramatically, even though your brain still wants to move at the same fast pace. Why? Because with so many shapes and functions already in place, adding detail becomes 10 times more complex, requiring more calculation, preparation, and refinement. So as you're designing this, guys, it does take up your brain power, your processing power, and the more complexity you have, the more it takes. So if you remember what we just saw with Mike Nash, you can imagine how much time and how much brain power it takes. Sometimes these final steps can take up to 40% of the total time you spent in earlier stages. It's slow and draining, yes, but if it's a personal project or a client piece that demands this level of polish, the result is absolutely worth it. This level of work makes the project feel real and richly complex, but remember to take breaks. Your brain will overdrive no matter how experienced you are. You're juggling many shapes and functions at once, and it can get overwhelming. How do you get through it? It depends. If it's client work, you do what needs to be done. A practical approach that works for me is a 4-hour concentrated work session, then taking the rest of the day completely off. Your brain uses up so much energy during these sprints, they can need up to 20 hours to recharge. Short, intense sprints give the biggest impact to both project and client. You'll see big changes every day, but if you push longer than that, you risk cracking around week 3. Take your time and move slowly. It's worth it for both you and the client. So guys, here, I do agree very much with this approach, is that it's better to do short little sprints and take the rest of the time off. So guys, the way our culture works, it's very kind of work-based, and it always assumes that work is when you're doing something physically on your computer, clicking buttons, using your keyboard. That's how it sees work. But see guys, a lot of work, you'd be surprised how little time I spend, quote-unquote, working. Because a lot of times, guys, my best work is done in my mind when I'm not in front of my computer. I'm also, for example, writing stories right now, writing novels. And a lot of times, guys, I'm just on the floor sitting, going for a walk, and the various story beats of the novel come together during my walk. So it's almost like even though I'm not working, as the culture defines working, my mind is working and thinking in a relaxed state. And I'm getting the dialogue in my mind, I'm getting the various plot points in my mind, I'm getting inspiration in my mind to work on these things. Same thing with my 3D work, guys. A lot of times, I wake up, I like to spend an hour in bed before I even get up, just thinking about what I'm going to do throughout the day, what needs to be prioritized, any inspirations I have, and I work through those things in my mind. So even though somebody may look at me and say I'm just lazing around in bed, being lazy, not working, you know, as society defines working, my mind, as long as your mind is thinking about things, you are working. In a lot of creative professions, guys, it's not about, you know, the creative field is not about like a laborer. You're not like a factory worker just cranking out the hours. You need to activate your creative juices. A lot of times that's not done by just sitting in front of your computer with a blank screen wondering what do I do now. It's just thinking. It's just looking at nature, thinking about things, being inspired by different shapes. You know, with me, it's all about shapes and colors. Being inspired by shapes and colors. And then, you know, once you've come home for your walk, you sit down, you work a few hours, and that's your work day right there, of like, quote-unquote, official work. So guys, that's what I recommend for you, is take Darmar's approach here and just have short, concentrated 4-hour sessions. and just do that. It's about consistency, guys. It's not about just sitting down and getting everything done all at once. It's about consistent, persistent work every day. A little bit every day goes a long way, guys, and not burning yourself out, not setting impossibly high standards for yourself, knowing when to take a step back, take a break, knowing when the job is good enough and it serves the purposes of the design. Because a lot of times, guys, we as artists, especially in this field with mechanical design or any kind of design, we tend to get too much involved in our own headspace, and we think that things matter when they don't really matter that much. At the end of the day, when you're designing something, you want your audience to perceive it a certain way, and once you accomplish that, you're done. Now you may want to, rearrange this over here, put that over here, because of your own obsessive compulsion, but the work does not require that. There comes a point when you accomplish the mission, and you can just take it easy, and you don't need to obsess about where did I put that detail, or this detail is not perfectly aligned, I'm not obeying the rule of 3/3 here, 1/3. As long as the client or your audience looks at it and approves of it, you don't need to obsess about every single detail, guys. So definitely, guys, perfectionism can make you become your own worst enemy. It makes something that should be enjoyable into a very stressful process for no reason, because you set impossibly high standards for yourself. And also take my advice about, before you even wake up, take the time to just lay down, if assume you're still in bed, and just think about what you're going to do throughout the day. Don't just get up right away, turn on your computer, and just start staring at that screen, but take an hour to plan through. And a lot of times, guys, inspirations for design and tutorials and workflows come from just thinking. Computer's off, but my mind is thinking, and I get some new idea. And I think, okay, I like that. That could work. I need to test that out. I also recommend, guys, starting off every day with some reading. In this screen-obsessed time period, we're always staring at things, and the internet and the computer, they always want to take up our attention. They always want to distract us. And a lot of people suffer from anxiety because the algorithms and the way people scroll through the internet, it's always designed to make you have a short attention span, and to always be doom scrolling, as they say, and to always be taken in like the most attractive, attention-grabbing stories, news feeds, and artwork. And it always makes your mind very distracted. It gives you a very short attention span, and it also depresses you because you hear about just the worst things. So personally, I recommend don't even look at the news. Just focus on doing your daily tasks and don't worry about what's happening in the world. Just that eliminates stress. It makes your mind nice and healthy, and makes you focus on what's important in your life and accomplishing those daily things. If you have children, if you have family and friends, always spend the time with them. Because a lot of times, guys, if someone wants to spend time with you, it's very easy to say, no, sorry, I'm busy. But then you stop when you realize something, that if your whole life you always say you're busy, you will never find time to spend time with anyone. That's what I realized about life, guys, is that you have to make the time. If you always say you're busy, you will spend the rest of your life in your room, in the office, wherever, and you'll never spend time with people who matter to you, because there's always work to be done, guys. The work never goes away. The work is always there. You just have to put work off to the side and say, the work is not my life. Remember, guys, the work is something you do it's like food. You don't live to eat, you eat to live. The work just sustains your life. Gives you money for shelter and for food and clothing, but the work is not your life. Always remember that, guys. The work is not your life. You have to spend time with the people who matter to you. Spend some time outdoors doing some exercise. I also recommend daily exercise. I like to do push-ups, pull-ups, walking, a little bit of easy weightlifting. Not heavy weightlifting, because there's a high chance of injury, but just easy weightlifting with like a 30-pound dumbbell. Variety of things. I also recommend, this is turning more into like a lifestyle video, but I might as well get out. I also recommend eating a meal at the end of the day. Now, you may have a different body type and different energy requirements, But I find, guys, that if I eat breakfast and lunch, I become very lazy and sluggish. It's almost like I've gotten my reward, no more need to work at all. But if I work, I mean, if I eat at the end of the day, it's almost like it's a way to wrap up the day. Like I've done the work and now I'm getting a reward, almost like a reward. I'm able to just sit down and enjoy dinner after a day's hard work. But I can go throughout the whole day without eating just because my body is sufficient for that. But if you find yourself having like really low energy, if you don't eat, then I understand. But if you can, try and eat at the end of the day, and you'll find yourself, I think, feeling a lot better here. And so it's almost like intermittent fasting, where it's almost like accidental intermittent fasting. So those are one little tips, guys. Also comes from other people as well. It's not just me making things up. Reading, for example, starting off your day with 1 or 2 hours of reading helps you to start the day off right. Reading is very good for your mind at organizing things, and reading and writing, being able to read and understand something is a very important skill to have. It helps you to organize your thoughts, helps you to become a better speaker, helps you to think better, build a better vocabulary in all things. So if you can start off your day 1 or 2 hours of reading, that'll also benefit you as well. Staying off the news feed, staying off of politics and news and things like that, because you can't change those things anyways, guys. Why worry about things you can't change, right? And I think, guys, if you follow this, you will avoid all of the pitfalls of anxiety and stress. Thank you for watching, and take care.